Okay, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Naoto's Nerd Hour. Well, Naoto, we got while we wait for people to tune in, do you want to introduce today's show?
Hey everyone, my name is Naoto. I'm here to teach you what those different sharpening stones are, especially the natural stones. Oftentimes these topics comes up, and we do have lots of synthetic stones that are made in the oven or baked. These synthetic man-made sharpening stones, that's our main sharpening stone, but we do have lots of different natural stones to sharpen knives with as well. I have been working for this company almost 10 years. I have kind of stepped myself outside of the store and been kind of doing lots of experimenting and practicing on the different stones and different sharpening techniques. So I like to share some of the knowledge with you guys.
Awesome. So yeah, today we're talking about natural stones. If you have questions, as usual, pop them into the comments. We've got some exciting stuff to show off to you guys, some exciting news as well. Beyond that, yeah, welcome to Naoto's Nerd Hour, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us throughout the week, and we're excited. We're always looking towards Friday because Naoto always has something cool to talk to us about. All of our subjects in the last few weeks have been from viewers. So people suggested that we talk about natural stones. I think that was our buddy Blank. The repair we did last week, that was all kind of users or viewer submitted topics. So if there's something you want to hear us talk about, let us know. Pop your questions in the comments, and yeah, I'll let Naoto get into it.
Well, some of the news or some of the things that we get really excited about. Well, I'm going to talk about natural stones today, but I want to kind of show you guys some like new knives that we just got in. I think for those of who's a fan of us, like watches the Kevin's lives and stuff, we got the new knife line called the Sakai Wo Sumi line. Sumi means ink in Japanese, and we it's almost like a collaboration work with the this company in Sakai with us. They were thinking of like they were looking for new ideas of making knives, and I was like, Kurochi's been really popular, but not just a real regular Kurochi. Let's make it the polish on the spine and the choil part. Also, the shape kobunka. 135 millimeter kobunka has been really popular. This is the first kobunka shape coming out of Sakai, which I get really excited about. Also, I bought myself the 240 millimeters Gyuto. The first knife in a couple of years. I don't get to buy knives every year, but the beautiful knife forged by the Yoshikazu Tanaka-san. He is probably one of the best knife maker and blacksmith in Sakai when it comes to the double bevel forging. White number 2. It's the reason why we chose white number 2 is that it's easier to sharpen. It takes such good edge and it keeps the edge really nice and long as well. Another one that we got really excited about is the Masashi-san. He started making a knife called Honesuki. For those of you who don't know what the Honesuki is this triangular shaped chicken deboning knife. We have now this Kuroshu. We have Shiroshu. It's all mirror polished, almost mirror polished, and the other one's Koi is coming in the next shipment.
I'm very upset about these. I think I'm definitely going to get the Kuroshu. It's so nice.
Yeah. Another thing that really excited me is that in a few probably weeks, we're going to get the first Kiyoshi Kato's knife in our warehouse. It's only one. I could have hands on the Kiyoshi Kato. For those of you who know Kiyoshi Kato, it got people super excited. He's really famous, popular sword maker in Japan, and he's also a great kitchen knife maker as well. His knives are super rare. We're getting one of the 240
Oh wow!
Yuto. Also,
Holy.
knife that I was really excited about is there's the blacksmith called the Tatsuo Ikeda, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but he was the a knife maker in Sakai for a honyaki knives. I get a hands on one of those, a 270 millimeter Sujihiki mirror polish with beautiful hamon. That is also coming as well. So it's really excited time to see lots of cool knives coming up. Anyways, so here.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Sean on Facebook just said he's got to get his hands on that Sumi Kobunka. Can you? That Kobunka is a bit special, isn't it? Yeah. There's a tiny bit of a story behind that, right?
I mean, like that's something that they never had idea of, right? Because I was talking to those guys and saying, hey, what knife is more popular? And I told them like Kobunka is really popular because it's such a nice shape to work in the kitchen with. It's like tiny. For those who's not really comfortable using large knives, this is fantastic. As well for those of you like who's only working in a small workstation, right? The professionals come super handy with that shape and size as well. So, and I suggest let's make those. Like, can you make those? They were like, yes. And yeah, that was how I started it. And yeah.
Well, and that's how the Masashi Hanasuki came about, right? Because he never made Hanasukis, and we kind of had to show him like what we wanted, right?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, here is the natural stones. Natural stones are like a regular stone, sedimental stones. Like like if you look these ones, you can see clear sediments, right? Sedimental rocks that's coming from the certain parts of Japan. Some of them are a little bit coarser than the others. What we have today, I kind of wanted to showcase something like these guys. These days, the very rough natural stones like a omurato or there's the one from Wakayama. Those stones are very rare, and because it's very coarse, it wears down really fast as well. So they don't last as long as the really fine stones. And when they stop mining, it's gone, right? So it is really rare piece of the natural stones. We don't have any of the coarse ones. Generally speaking, though, the natural stones people know. People associate the natural stones with very fine and the final polishing stones. So we have today some different grits of stones. As you can see, this giant piece of the stone here. This one here is called akamon. Akamon or the akamon stone. This stone is fantastic, a medium grit stone. This is the name akamon or the some of the akamon is the stones that the stone makers use for their medium grit stones. That's where they get the name from. This giant one is just for us to use. It's not for sale, but this is fantastic medium stone. Medium grit, like anywhere like 1,000 or 2,000 grit. Basic about natural stone though is the how natural stones, they don't usually have a equivalent grit as the same as the synthetic stones. So how those synthetic stones are made? Here's how they use those abrasive powders. It's just super dusty.
It's a dusty rock.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of people excited to see this giant natural stone because it showed up in some of your sharpening videos, and a few people have been asking about it on Instagram. So I'm glad we finally get to see it.
But so regular stones are made with the whole bunch of abrasives. Abrasives are like aluminum oxide or chromium oxide. And if you see them on the microscope, what they look like is like like very rough meteor type of the grains that cuts the steel. And when it's like synthetic, they will basically sift them into the same grits and all over, right? So what happens is that the grits are very even. Where when those natural stones are formed, how the sedimental rock forms. Like in order for them to form a millimeter thin of the sediments, it just takes so
You'd be
long.
okay there, buddy?
Yeah, I just picked it up, super dusty one. So
That's like million-year-old dust. That's expensive dust.
So in order for those rocks to form, it's impossible to have the same coarseness. And abrasives that it's in, or some argues is otherwise, but according to some of the natural stone miners or manufacturer down in Kyoto, when I talked to them, abrasives are actually fossilized the microorganisms around living at that time. So they are basically they get caught in the mud and get it's made of sediments and bottom of the ocean, and for some reason this like sediment and rock kind of get squished over the ground. That's how they make the found the.
So it's like crushed bacteria and viruses and insects and little tiny things.
Yeah, those ones, right? You don't really see them, but the
that's good. That's gross.
The abrasives. So the size are pretty different. So we do use them like a equivalent, right? Like, so this particular one is around like say 1,000 to 1,500 grit, because that's how the similar finish that we get on the synthetic stone, right? And some of the finer ones are like equivalent for 4,000 and 10,000. And as you actually work on more, the mud and the abrasives and the steel comes from the knife will basically, those abrasives will break it down into more smaller pieces so that it gets a little bit finer as you sharpen them.
It's like milling grain or something. Like it just gets finer and finer and finer.
Exactly. So like it's really important, especially the finishing stone, to work a little bit longer. Build the slurry, build the mud on top of stone to keep working to get the finer edge. Another thing about those stones here was that it's not only how fine those stones are, it's also how hard those stones are matters quite a bit as well. Some of them, like when it's also sediments, how they formed when how they formed and stuff, how much pressure went in. It just determines how hard the stones are. Softer the stones, what I usually consider is the softer stones are great for, we call it the kasumi finish, or the really works the bevel very nicely, like all the way, where the harder stones are so precise. Harder stones, I like them for using it for something like a yanagiba. The edge, it's like you need a super precise edge at the end, or something like a lots of natural stones are favorited amongst the carpenters in Japan. They use the plane blades, chisels, those blades on those natural stones.
And you were talking about hardness. Does that, I've heard people talk about the strata of the stone, like how high or low on the mountain it comes from. Is that what determines the hardness of the stone?
It's not only, but yes, it's generally. It's not only though, because like some mountains have different stratas too.
Yeah. Okay.
But generally speaking.
Do you have time for a few questions before we move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on. Well, first of all, Dr. G says, I understand microorganisms make microbevels. Makes perfect sense.
There you go.
I like that. A few garage sale questions, which is why I wanted to get to them right away. James Wang, who has an amazing knife collection that continues to grow. Kiyoshi Kato and Tetsuo Ikeda. Super nice stuff. Will they be available on your website or garage sale?
They'll be on the website. They'll be on the website. It probably takes a couple weeks because we want to because it's only one's available. Like we only get one of Kiyoshi, one of the Tatsuo. So we want to take a good picture.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take a little while because it's COVID.
And will that be in the garage sale, or will that be like pretty soon?
Pretty soon. Just keep an eye out, James. I just made the product today, so you will be able to, like, if you type that product in, you should be able to see them in about a couple of hours. And just leave your email, and once it just becomes available to purchase, you should see them.
Yeah, easier than refreshing the page every minute or two.
So,
another question from Grant. Thanks for tuning in, Grant. Are there any, or will there be any, single bevel Hanasukis?
Yes, actually, there's one available that's a little bit longer than the Hanasuki. It's called Garasuki. I probably should have changed the name, but Sakai Takayuki makes the single bevel Hanasukis. So we do have the 180 millimeter version of them in stock right now. They do make 150 millimeter, the regular size single bevel Hanasuki as well. Made with white number 2 carbon steel. It's really nice, nice looking knife. Yes, and yes, that's real single bevels. It's got a bevel on the one side, concave on the other.
Is that the Sakai Takayuki Shirogami Hanasuki?
Yep.
Awesome.
I got a request from the Sakai Takayuki saying, like, I wanted to make it easy for people to find it, right? But they asked me to change it to Garasuki, which is, like, same function but slightly longer. Anyways.
Right. I'll pop that link in the chat there for everybody watching. And then just one more question before I move on. Our good buddy Dr. G. Dangerous question for my bank account. Will there be any Kisuke Manaka stainless steel Damascus knives in May garage sale?
The not stainless steel Damascus, but Damascus absolutely. We are expecting so stainless Damascus is so much harder than the carbon steel Damascus. So what we are expecting right now from him is that the white number 2 and blue number 2 on the outside layer, blue number 1 in the core. That is coming, actually. Hopefully get to the garage sale in May, but not quite sure. But it will be available. It will be available. If it comes after garage sale, we're not gonna wait until the garage sale comes, right? So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's hard to get knives right now. So anytime we get knives, they're probably just gonna go right on the website.
Yeah.
Which is good news for all of you folks, or bad news in Dr. G's case.
Something I kind of forgot to. I did mention those microorganisms abrasives for the natural stones. They are much more milder. It's like it's a little bit. It's not like spiky. It's not like a meteor like a thing. It's got much more milder, rounder profile. I guess like if you look at a microscope, you see much more rounded edges to them, right? So the that those natural stones will create or puts on your knife, it's going to be looking like more milder edge like this instead of the jagged edge. What makes those milder, like say if you, for those who has a Shun bread knife, it's got much more milder edge to it, right? Those ones are great for the edge, and this is comes, I guess, back to why those carpenters prefer the natural stones. Here's a little bit of difference on the carpentry blades versus a kitchen knife blades or any other blades, for that matter. If you think about how they are used, right? Carpentry blades, they are put on the things just against the object that they were trying to cut. Oh, I guess it's
It froze up for a sec there. It's been doing that occasionally, but it's looking pretty good. I'll keep an eye on the second camera there. We're still working on the second camera, folks, but this is a lot better than last time. So thanks for your patience.
It sits on the blade, and the carpentry blade. Say this is a planer blade. They just go straight right into the object. Where kitchen knives, in order for these to cut, you have to slide them. So slide that, you want to have a little bit of a teeth so that it bites into thing, where if you are to cut into straight into some object, say chisels, plane blades, what else? Something to put on your face, straight razors. Those are the people who prefers to use those natural stones because the edge it creates is much more milder edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the big difference. You will definitely have a little bit more, little bit of an advantage, but for kitchen knives, it's if you like it, you can definitely use it. If you synthetic still does really great job. And because all the sediments are so different, the to find the right stone for the right knives is a very hard process. So that's something that
it's like finding somebody to marry. Like you gotta try things out a little bit and see what works. And I think the knife has to spend a little time with the stone, and you have to experiment with how it cuts and whatnot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna do a little bit of demonstration on this big Akamon stone on my deba that I sharpened. So now it's got a really nice Kasumi finish on them right now, and I'll show you how they're gonna look like after I put that on the 1000.
Was that the one you sharpened a couple weeks ago in the class there?
I didn't do anything. I just left it there. So Akamon stone is really nice, soft stone. This is one of my favorite stones to actually start the Kasumi process. It's pretty big, but.
Have you ever had to true that stone?
Yeah. It was not nice when I first got it. So when we first, it's not the best.
Well, and it's probably not like you just run the stone across it. You probably have to like look at it and determine where the high points are, hey?
Exactly.
Brutal.
So yeah, while I'm doing it, if there's any question, just let me know.
There sure is. Thanks for letting me know. I got Troy Glover here, wants to ask any insights into Debas coming up for the garage sale.
Deba. I have been talking with lots of people from Sakai, so there will be some Debas for sure. Let us know if there's any specific that you're looking for, like corpus or say blacksmith, that kind of stuff. There will be some like all this cool stuff that we tried to get. We haven't had the who is it, the Yaoji-san or Kitaoka-san for a little while, so we should probably look into getting those guys.
I mean, our goal with the garage sale and our selection in general is always to bring in stuff that people want to see. Good thing about the garage sale, as well as Small Makers Month, is there are times where we can bring in stuff that we can't get enough of throughout the year to have as a regular line, so we get to sprinkle in some more flavor to our selection. I think you're going to see more of that this year because a lot of blacksmiths, they're backlogged. There's a huge demand for kitchen knives, and they're just a tough thing to get right now. So I think you're going to see us bringing in more of those small batches, like the Osakai. I think we got like 30, 40 knives, and that's it. So
I just found on the 1000. The Akamon. This one is good because it still leaves the nice. I don't know where the camera is here. Nice color difference here. It shows it, but it's not as like the finely or the shiny the edges. It's a lot more actually a little bit milder. And that's what happens for the natural stones. Because all the abrasives are slightly different sizes, they don't get like as mirrored as people would like. Or like mirror is the right reflection of the object, right? So when the surface is,
Hmm.
I have this thing right now here. So here, when the surface is the nice and straight, light comes in and that comes back out. And if it's super nice and straight, this way, it just comes like, everything comes on the same direction
Right.
and makes it like a mirror. Where
Yeah.
natural stones, you are not making it as nice and smooth. Like it's like tiny bit like that.
Ah.
The light comes in, one comes back here, one like that, and it like all reflects so differently, so that you don't
Cool.
get as really nice mirror polish. I mean, there are some stones that could attain it, but generally speaking, you don't get this like super shiny mirror with the
That makes a ton of sense.
natural synthetic ones. It's easier because all the grains are pretty much the same. Where the natural stones, you don't get
You gotta put a few more chapters into the next version of the Knife Nerd Guide.
that. So like, great for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sean's saying the little Akamon, no question, just the Akamon that he picked up at the last garage sale. One of his favorite naturals to use right now, along with my Aizu. They both put a great toothy edge on their work knives.
I've never actually used the Aizu before, so I'm pretty curious about that. But my favorite, two of my favorite stones is the. So one is definitely the one I get to use quite a bit. Is the Maruyama Shirosita. This one I get to actually visit this this guy. Oh, I have to remember his name. But I get to kind of try the stone there, and choose the couple of stones that we like to bring and carry. So this is really nice. This is great stone and some people call it the cheating stone because it's really easy, nice and soft to bring the finish on them. Not necessarily great for the finishing the edge with though. What that means is that it is tiny bit too soft, and if you try to finish the edge with, it can actually gouge in or cuts into it a little bit easy. For those who's looking for something that's a little bit more harder stone that bears it nicely, you probably want to look at something like a Ohira Mountain, the Awasedo. Awasedo technically means a finishing stone, but Ohira Awasedos are great for that kind of stuff. We have this Naoto, literally means blue stone. It's about 2,000 grits or something like this. Naoto is also a really popular stone. It's called Tamba Naoto. Tamba is the place in Japan. Tamba is in the Hyogo prefecture, right next to the Kyoto there. Relatively soft stone. To get the large stones are more expensive. These ones are pretty reasonably priced, soft, and gets the really nice kasumi finish as well. I used to use this for a like carbon steel stainless clad knives to get the nice kasumi out. Also, there is a company who makes the synthetic stone using the name Naoto.
Few more questions here. Well, one, Mark Hall just said, bring back the young lady, the only one who gave practical advice. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and guess that young lady is Kasumi, who is maybe the most practical person I've ever met. She's so practical that for Christmas last year, like 2020, she ordered, her and her partner, a whole Serrano ham, like a cured Spanish ham, an entire leg.
Oh, for both of them, like
for December, yeah. And they just chipped away at it.
Oh.
And she's so practical that for Christmas and New Year's, she actually got a second Iberico ham.
Oh, really?
So they had 2 hams for December, which I think is incredibly practical. I like that.
And I'm sure she used the bones for something.
Oh, probably an incredible tonkatsu stock.
Yeah, right?
Samarjit is wondering what changes to the technique are needed with Japanese natural stones. If anybody's wondering, JNATS just means Japanese natural stone.
The changing technique, I don't think there is that many. Like you have to definitely adjust to the size of stone, right? But otherwise, you want to work a little bit more in order to build the nice slurry. Some of the harder stones takes a little bit longer to build this type of slurry. So that's something that you have to be aware about. Aware of, I guess, right? And also, it's the same thing. You want to chew your natural stones as much as you can.
Yeah, keep them flat. And what you said earlier about trial and error, like not expecting the stone to work the same way with every knife or every steel.
Yeah,
experimenting, I think is super important.
So yeah, that's really
Sean has seen that Nao Yamamoto from Takafu is putting out some really nice, pretty affordable knives lately. Do we have plans to carry his knives anytime soon?
We've had some knives from the Nao-san before, right? We've had some large Yodebas from him.
Oh, okay, cool.
We have to see that his knives are great. Was that
the big like the long Yodeba that looked kind of like a Gyuto?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a cool knife.
Used of those. His master, his sensei, Azai-san, who passed away a couple years ago. It was blacksmith in the. Fortunately, I get to actually. Well, it was lucky that I get to actually see him before he went in bed. He was still fine at the time, and right after that was when the Nao-san took it over.
Yeah,
we could. I haven't really looked into it. There are some if you buy it from this one, it's hard to get other kind of type. Sometimes that situation happening. So
yeah.
Sometimes it's a small village, right?
Yeah. It can be the challenges of dealing with that.
It's the Takamura and the Ryusen, they're right next door to each other. We get a Takamura. I don't know if you want to get a Ryusen because
Right. Yeah, it's like if somebody opened a knife shop across 9th Ave in Inglewood from us. Sean was talking about his stones that the Aizu he got was fairly soft like the Akamon. Just a hair harder, slightly finer, but and just slightly less fine than his harder blue Tanda Auto.
I'm interested because the lots of natural stones we get are from Kyoto region, and Aizu is in Fukushima, the region that we don't have that much of influence with the prisons to. So once it's safe it's safe to travel, I would like to visit all those places.
Yeah, it would be nice for you to be able to get back to Japan again, and because you've got to actually hang out with the blacksmiths and learn some sharpening skills or learn improve your skills based on what they know, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. And if you Knifewear has this great policy. If you work for the company for 10 consecutive years, you get a 3-month paid holiday. I am thinking of actually using a month spending in Japan, not only traveling and just my thing, but spend some time with blacksmith, helping them around.
That'd be really cool.
I shouldn't be.
Well, then you're not tied down by I got to get back to work next week. You can just hang out with them for a while.
But I shouldn't be doing that. But
well, maybe you can start your vacation on work time and then and then go on to vacation after a couple weeks in Japan.
Yeah.
Another question from Samarjeet. Sorry if you're butchering your name, man. What about the water uses? Japanese natural stones.
Well, definitely you need the water. The just enough to the water use is gonna be, I say slightly less. You don't have to like leave it in water or anything like that. But anything, it applies to anything, right? The when you're using different synthetic stones has different rate of absorbing the water and stuff like that. So make sure there is enough water to lubricate, makes the easier for the knife to move around smoothly, right? And to just because if you have too little water on this natural stone, especially a softer one that has a little bit more muddy, the mud sometimes creates too much of becomes too thick that prevents the knife from moving smoothly on the stone.
Right.
So that's something that you have to be a little bit more careful. But that can be said for the regular synthetic stones as well.
Right. It's a balance between reducing friction and not washing away your mud, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That's a good answer. Grant, who you were chatting with through email, I'd like to follow up on the great email from Naoto about how to tell if the edge is really straight in line from tip to tail. Grant, did you have any more like clarifying questions, or just want to thank Naoto for the information?
I have to refresh. I did send him the email the other day, and the edge from the tip to tail. If it's the single bevel, it's pretty easy. I would probably, because it's really hard. Because I usually use those fluorescent lights and tilt my knife up there. Oh, I'm out.
Oh, I can't see you. Yeah.
and try to make sure that knife is straight. And you can't really tell by, say, for example, I have the super flat plate like these ones. If it's double bevel, you can't really tell by putting down like this, because the knife has the distal taper from the spine to the tip. So by putting on the flat surface, you still have a tiny bit of a tilt to it. So you want to actually make sure, but just by looking at the edge, best way is lots of knife makers, polishers, blacksmiths, they have the fluorescent light right there, like right above your head, and you see them like that. Single bevels are a little bit easier because single bevels, where it's flat is the back. So back needs to be flat. That's what it is.
Right.
So when you put the and white stones are good. So I drew this stone a little while ago. I haven't used it after, so it's pretty true. What I would do is I did chew this guy and I haven't used him. So if you have super nice stone like this, the white, the color kind of matters because it tells you if that stone touches all the way, it tells you where. So I put it back flat on the back of the knife and do something like this. You can see the dark spot. Oops. You can see the dark spot right here and right here. So that it works tiny bit like that. Right? So here. Right.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that you can tell if that the knife is straight. You can still do the raoshi, the back sharpening, by doing this and touches all the way. But in order to tell that if the knife is flat, this is the best way. Put the knife lengthwise like this, and put it down on the edge. Do this and see if there's any spot that touches or misses. Make sense?
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. We've got Kyle has been using a natural stone. They purchased during the last garage sale, and it seems pretty hard to create a slurry. Still trying to figure it out. Yeah, and using a Negra, but still having trouble with that.
This is the same Tamba Auto, and the it may be the type of steel that you're working with as well. Some of the steels are a little bit more harder, that they don't be ground down as much, right? Like say blue carbon steel versus white carbon steel creates slurry much faster because it's a lot more, like say we have a little bit of slurry like this and just keep going. So it may be type of steel, like building a slurry with the stainless steel is going to be so much hard as well because it just doesn't want to be ground as fast, right?
I find it takes a long time when I'm doing like Japanese straight razors, like Kamisoris.
Yeah.
I find getting a slurry, and maybe it's just because we're using a really hard stone, but same sort of problem.
Yeah, you can definitely use the some like harder stones, like say Ozuku or hard. Ozuku is hard to actually build the slurry as well. That's why you want to use some of the Nagura too, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Tifal Goran wants to ask, can synthetic or natural stones bring out the natural Damascus patterns without acid etching?
Some yes, some don't. It really depends. Say it. I found some like stones like a this this guy here, Shiro Suita from the I'm like Shiro Suita from the Totoria. This brings that the natural Damascus. Like if you're looking at natural Damascus pattern, some people call it the steel flow. This will definitely brings it out pretty nice. You have to have the proper steps to get that though, because I get to manage to do that when I was taking the classes in MIE, but I never be able to actually replicate that back here. So that's something. But something soft, sweeter, like these guys are going to be fantastic for that. If you're thinking of like the say Masakage Kiri, those sandblasted finishes, there are a few powders, polished tint, or the abrasives that can bring that back. But you have to create the base really nicely, because if you leave a tiny bit of scratches, those will be there, right?
Yeah. Kyle says his stone doesn't look like what you just held up when you were creating that slurry on the hard stone. So maybe you'll give it a quick lapping and see if that helps.
Probably, like if you want to just like do, or you can even use the diamond plate or those ones. Do a few things to get the slurry up and start. I can do that. Yeah.
And Grant just says, great tips. Thank you for keeping checking if the knife straight.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Thanks for the patience. I guess like I knew there was a question. So like I have to think about it a little bit to write a good sentence.
Naoto's been busy trying to source us knives to sell.
But some other stuff that you may want to know is that the different stratas, different things does have the different names to it. So Akamon is so there are two types of the naming happening. One is the mountain, where it's mined. For example, the Maruyama. Maruyama is the mountain. Shirosuita is a strata or the type of stone here. There's the stones like this. So Suita is named after the this here. Ita means actually the Ita is like bar of wood. But the Suita here, the reason why it's called Suita is that if you look, I don't know if you can see, there are a few lines in this stone here. So these are called su. In Japanese, this su means a something that it's really hard to explain. If you overcook your tofu, it was like really nice and silky and smooth to start, but if you cook it too long, you start to see that little soggy texture to it, right? We call that su. So it's what it says is that this has the su in it. So it's like little crumbly, like
Yeah, it's kind of like when you curdle eggs, or like when you're scrambling eggs or milk.
So there are layers of the su inside of the suita. That's why they call it the suita. But there's actually I don't know if you have that one. So there is one here. This one's the suita sunashi. What that means is that it's a suita strata, but it doesn't have the su in it. So it's like,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
And that's probably more expensive, hey?
Yeah.
Cool.
We have Nagura. Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Grant says no worries on the weight, and greatly appreciate the knowledge.
Thank you.
And then last question, I promise, before you move on. But keep the questions coming, folks. We might just have to wait a minute. James Wang wants to know, what's your thought on the Asano Nagura Koma stone? Heard it's a very nice stone to be used for uchigomori.
I've heard of the Nagura Koma. I have not used those before. I consulted with the natural stone, I guess, manufacturer, the Manish-san, who we get the most natural stones from. And we even asked, like, so there are some natural stone makers label them in a way. It's one of the marketing techniques. So I can't really tell if that particular Koma Nagura is great for that particular purposes. And all I could say is, like, Nagura is going to be quite small stones that, you should try them. That's really the best answer to that, because I have seen them and I've wondered about that, and there are a lot of things about, and I've specifically asked that the manufacturer as well, is this like Tenjo, or there's like Tenjo Nagura, and there are different stuff, and he was like, that's like retailers making those labels, so he so it's really, like, give it a try. That's really the best, probably, the thing. Uchigomori is like this. We have this that little thing. Also, there's like a lot of different uchigumoris, different hardness, slight different. There's like they call it the jizuya and hazuya, which is basically for the core harder steel, or the softer steel on the outside. And when I asked the Manish-san, he was like, yeah, it really depends on how hard and how they react. So, for those who selling those Hazuya or Jizuya, they must have tried it, right? They must have tried it on that. But Jizuya and Hazuyas are more of the sword polishing terms rather than the kitchen knife terms. So it's slightly different there as well.
Cool.
Alrighty. I was just, we have like few natural stones kicking around sometimes. This is the Honyama stone that's relatively soft. It's not super hard, but this is really good in middle. Like, I could definitely put the edge on with this one. It's hard enough, and it doesn't give you really nice kasumi on them, right? But so there are stratas like a suita. There's the awasedo is the popular term used for the natural stones, but awasedo is not necessarily indication of the strata or the layer, right? Awasedo means a sharp finishing stone, because awaseru means basically to match. That's how Japanese word goes, but I will say that basically to match the edge from both sides. That's where the word comes from.
Hmm. So is the idea that it's going to give you a consistent finish then?
Yeah, well, it's more like the finishing the micro bevel.
Okay, cool.
So there are a lot of different stones. What we try to get the stores is that the mostly not stones for a kitchen knives, right? So generally speaking, the softer the stone, like relatively softer stones, are popular among the kitchen knife sharpeners. I say Maruyama, like this, or the suitas are pretty popular. Where Ozuku, I found it's tiny bit too hard. Depends on the strata and places, but Ozuku I found it works fantastic for the whatchamacallit, the chisels or the straight razors and stuff.
Mm. Something where you're getting a push cut as opposed to a sliding cut,
Exactly.
like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, because straight razors are the same as chisels, right? You don't cut with a straight razor by slide. I mean, you can cut that way, but you'll cut the heck out of your face. I know from experience. With a straight razor, you're pushing it, you're forcing it through the hair at a low angle. That makes sense. So you get basically you get a less toothy edge from those ones.
Yeah.
Cool. If you folks have more questions, pop them in the comments. Great questions today, as always. Keep them coming. If anybody has ideas about what they want to see next week, we'd love to hear that. I think we've covered some good topics in the past month. So yeah, keep the ideas coming. If not, Naoto will come up with something. I think before the end of the show today, you should probably show us the new toy that you got. Didn't you get something along with those Hanasukis from Masashi?
I bought the 240.
No. Well, that's exciting. You should show us that. No, I thought I saw you got the bendy stick that you've been talking about.
Yeah, we did.
Because we had some folks last week. We were talking about having a knife that's straight and sharpening knives that are straight versus straightening the knife first, and the tool used to straighten knives is very important and very particular. And Naoto is very excited to be getting some new ones in the mail.
Like we have had those bendy sticks at our store level, right? Nathan, you remember the bendy sticks?
Yeah, I use it lots.
We had one in the Calgary store, and we tried to make it our own, and failed miserably. This one doesn't really work on the Diba, right? And we actually broke the one part of this bendy stick. So I saw a guy for the Sakai O was selling this.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, please, we need those. So this a really nice cross. The thick Diba can go in, and you can fix it like this way, or fix it this way, and that. It makes it super handy. We got this one for this one was this one was a little bit of work, so you could.
That's really cool. What are the chances we get a couple of those for the garage sale?
We probably could, yeah.
Yeah, if anybody's interested and wants one of their own, I don't think we have enough to sell right now. We just have them for shops, but if you want a bendy stick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty nice piece because it's deep enough. And yeah, for some reason, we couldn't make it for ourselves. It's not that hard, but it's
just need somebody that actually knows about woodwork.
Yeah, we had quite a few people who were handy enough. I thought that yeah.
So what are you doing now?
I'm just trying to finish up on this Shirosita. Shirosita again is great stone to give the really nice kasumi on them. Kasumi is the have that really nice, like the you see the hard steel and the softer steel. You see it's very mild, like change. But you can see that the different. You see color changes.
Yeah, like between the core steel or the hard steel and soft steel.
Yeah.
Great question from Grant here, and normally I let you answer the questions, Naoto, but I think I'm going to take this one. Grant says, how often do knives get bent? And I would like to respond with the question, how often do people smash garlic with their kitchen knives? Because that's the answer, plus, a few more.
Yeah.
How often, because sometimes knives can warp over time, especially single bevels, right? And that can be an issue.
Yeah. But the generally speaking, the double bevel knives, like they come bent before it's require sharpening quite often. That's why we check the edge before. We basically make sure the edge is straight. Otherwise, when you try to sharpen on a flat stone, it doesn't touch. There will be some part that won't touch on the stone, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to congratulate myself for my joke.
What's that?
No, nothing. Just patting myself on the back. A second or so ago, Naoto, I saw you using the heel of your palm instead of your fingertips on and I'd like to know why you're doing that.
At the whatchamacallit, the Masashi Yamamoto-san, no, sorry, Yamamoto-san, Masashi Ujira-san, who I took the sharpening class at, he told me some of the softer stones, especially this Shirosuita, gives you really nice finish when you actually press it down a little bit more. And by doing this, like this will give you much more like press.
Oh.
So.
And it works because it's a softer stone?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because normally pushing a lot when you're sharpening isn't ideal.
No, but I'm not like I'm just doing very light back and forth motion, right? And this is not really.
Right.
I mean, this is more like putting the makeup on the knife.
I see.
So something like.
Just making it pretty.
Yeah, and the last thing is the usually. So not the last, but again, we do have so-called uchigumori stones. We have bigger pieces. Uchigumori is really the stone used for a scores. Very popular for the sword makers, like to polish at the end. But kumori means the cloudy. So basically, what this means is that they're clouding the bevel here.
Got a good PSA here from Grant. Just speaking of garlic, you don't have to use your Japanese knife for everything. There are certain jobs that are done better by German knives. Smashing garlic is one of them, or a cast iron pan. And same with cutting frozen food and bones and anything super duper hard.
Yeah. Like frozen food, I always think you should either. There's no reason to cut into frozen food. Like if you, freeze them.
No, there is. It's because you're me and you didn't plan what you were going to make for dinner, and now you need to split apart the two chickens that are frozen together.
Well, I portioned them before.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, right.
James says he uses diamond plate to smash garlic because that's definitely not going to bend. I imagine everybody watching right now is more responsible or responsible enough to never smash garlic with their knives, but you would be shocked and appalled by the number of knives that come in that kind of look like a banana because they've been used to smash garlic.
It's very subtle usually. I have to say, because I can sometimes, I have one knife. Want it to be super quick, and I'm guilty a few times.
Yeah, me too. you don't need to whack it. You just need to press on it gently, and that does the trick really nicely. I've done that hundreds of times with my Japanese knives, and it's never been a problem. Tiff Goran says, Naoto, it's a little off topic, which is totally fine. Off topic questions are great. But can you talk about the Yamato walks? Is he a one-man team? What makes his work different than others?
Oh, the one-man team. Oh, what makes a difference? The here is a really good. We do have one actually here, so I'm gonna actually go grab one.
Mm-hmm. I love my Yamato walk. J-File, I don't know if you have one, but I've had one for probably about 6 months now, and I stir fry in it quite frequently. Lots of fried rice, and it is a fantastic walk. Really easy to get a nice non-stick seasoning on. Just a beauty.
The biggest difference of this walk to the other walks is that when they try to form this shape here, they don't just punch by one press. They have this machine. It's like almost like spring hammer, but it moves so much slower. So there's a guy who stacked like 3 or 5 sheets of those guys and put it underneath of the machine, and slowly that machine will bend the pans into the shape. One thing is though, it's not automated. There's a guy right next to the machine that adjusts the dial every single hammer.
Wow.
Not only that, there's a little functionality to it as well. Because when you punch because they don't just do it because it's cooler and because it takes longer to make. If the functionality is the same, why don't they use just a press, right? The reason why they do that is that by doing that particular motion on this walk, they make slight difference on the thickness of this one pan. They keep this one is 1.6 millimeter pan. 1.6 is pretty good for frying pan. It still has the spots that's hotter and softer, but if it's like 1.2, it just has like super hot spots and super not hot.
You just burn on the bottom.
Yeah, good thing, like good heat conductivity and stuff like that. But also this one is great because where it's like hammered here, if you actually cut right in half, you can see the thickness goes very thin right here, and on the bottom and thins out on the thin part. Heat travels faster, so when you can actually heat up the whole wok a little faster than the pressed one.
Oh, cool. And do they? Is it like cold forging or hot forging that they're doing with the steel? Cold. Cold
forging, yeah.
Okay, cool.
If you have a chance to watch their videos, it's incredible because they just and they just change.
PayPal has a normal walk and is looking to upgrade to the Yamato. I can say from experience, it's well worth the upgrade. But go big. Don't mess around with the 26 or whatever centimeter. Get the biggest one we have. I think I got the 30 centimeter.
Right now, we could get a little bit bigger. I think at home kitchen though, 30 is good.
30 is good. You can make 2 to 3 people's worth of say fried rice or pad thai or whatever it is that you're stir frying pretty comfortably, especially if you're just cooking for 2. 30 centimeter is right on the mark.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do we got next, Naoto?
What do you got next? That was the so I finished up the bevel with the this tiny bit natural stone here. Where's the camera? Here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Mori, and it's pretty nice and even.
Yeah.
It's got the. So this is really the classic natural stone finish. It doesn't have much glare to it.
Mm.
And what I would do from
very silky.
Yeah, it's very silky. It's subtle. And what I would do from here is that I will take the little bit of hotter stone for the last edge. So this is where that little hotter stone comes handy. It was the processes that I was doing was really to put the edge to make the bevel really nice and smooth. Now I'm going to put that up on a little bit higher like this, and sharpens the bevel, or the micro bevel, call it.
So because none of our viewers have questions right now, I'm going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Why I use synthetic stones all the time because they're consistent and easy, and I haven't learned enough about natural stones.
Yeah.
Why should I use natural stones? Is it for the same reason I like listening to vinyl and like making my own bread, or is there a functional reason why they're better?
Again,
or are they just cool?
If you want to sharpen straight razors, plain blades, those ones, you will definitely have more benefit. You will have a benefit because again, this type of edge, especially when you're planing, the synthetic edge is still super fine, but it leaves tiny bit of edge to it, like the jaggedness, right? So when you try to plane and make a super like micron level of the thin piece of wood comes out, those little teeth will become like a teeth for the mandolin blades. So you can't really put a nice edge to it. I like to have one stone, like a Maruyama Shirosuita, or the Mori for myself, really this is more like a finishing touch on my knife to look really cool. Edge for myself, because I'm just really working on the kitchen knives. I'm okay. I'm like, I don't like hard stone for myself. I like the soft stone. So it really depends on what type of edge that you were trying to create. I'm sure I will get into more natural stones as I sharpen more.
Yeah, I'm very curious now. I've always kind of written them off as very cool, but not really something I want to spend my time on. But now I I kind of want to spend my time on it. I just wanted to say Grant said he's got to run and is going to catch the rest later. Thanks for tuning in, Grant. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. I mean, there's lots of familiar names. There's a couple of new folks by the looks of it. It's really great having everyone tune in and answering your questions, and I hope you get to enjoy this and get something out of it. So keep the questions coming. We're not going anywhere right now, but again, if anybody wants to see anything next week on Friday, that's actually going to be my last one before I go on vacation for a little bit. So I don't know. Give us something good to talk about next week.
Yeah,
and then you're gonna have Jeevan the week after that, so you guys will get to see someone new the third week of February.
Yeah, so like, really good. If you are to, I guess, like to do a Yanagiba, those knives, finishing with natural stones could be actually pretty good. But as soon as it hits the cutting board, it's slightly different too, right? Yeah, it's just good. I've had the so we do take the sharpening from those people who who lives not the cities that we have stores in. Those people.
Yeah, mail-in sharpening.
Knives for mail-in sharpenings. We do have one knife that I have to treat them a little bit, but I was gonna sharpen that. Talk about how to fix that the profile a little bit.
Awesome.
A tiny bit of time. I'll be right
back. Well, while you're gone, James says, "How about Nathan do the sharpening session next weekend before vacation?" Sure. I am a pretty good sharpener. We actually had a company-wide contest a couple years ago, and I got number 4. But Naoto is 1,000 times better than me. That said, if you want to learn how to sharpen a straight razor or an axe, I'm very good at both of those things. I do a lot more on our sister store, Kent of Inglewood, and they do very similar, like blacksmith-made tools, sharp things, but it's for taking hair off your face or chopping down trees. So if you want to learn how to sharpen an axe or a straight razor really, 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 really well, I would be happy to do that. Real quick, Tafel says, Naoto always makes thinning so easy, or looks so easy. I tried thinning my own knife this weekend. It looked terrible.
I've been sharpening it quite a bit. So if yeah. So I got this.
Same here, buddy. I am also terrible, so don't feel like you're the only one.
I got this knife right here. I'm trying to hold it and like, where should I like show this one too? Really well-made knife from Japan, actually. Hasakai. It's the.
I'll be right back while you introduce that, Naoto. I'm just gonna run downstairs for a second.
Like this Fujiyama knife here. It's pretty well made. It's got the but the tip here is slightly weird. It's got too much and belly right here. Hey, that's yours, Sean. And it's got tiny bit more straighter part here, and tip is slightly off. This happens probably because when you are sharpening it, this part is you will have to change the angle as you sharpen, but it was probably stay here and did this, right? What you want to do is keep moving. Like you could sharpen it this way too. You can like rock it and sharpen it this way to keep your edge. I don't know if you can see them, but I'm just gonna change the camera angle a little bit here. So here, so like if you see, so what can happen? Why this happens? Like the straight part right here is that people don't change the angle as you sharpen it here. What you have to do is rocks it a little bit. And make sure and know where you're sharpening is really important, right? So right now, how this profile and how I'm going to fix this is that I work on this part slightly more to get the little nicer profile, and work this part a little bit less. This part a little bit less. So it's not like rocket science, and it's you will learn it as you work on it. But really, something to avoid is that when it's a curve like this, just don't work one part. Just make sure you move them like all the way. Just follow the curve, right? And it's just really easy to follow the curve because it already has the curve to it too. So I don't sharpen this way usually, but technically it's the same. I'm rocking it and doing a back and forth motion at the same time, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I think it's best to swatch this on the super low angle this here.
Cool.
Right?
Yeah.
This super
little tiny bit higher. Yeah, perfect.
There you go. Let's see. So this is how I change the angle as I sharpen. And it's actually getting better with just a little bit of work here. Really important thing, like when you're sharpening anything, is to know which part of the blade is touching on the stone. Where you are sharpening is really important. It's really hard to see, but it is getting a little bit better now.
Yeah.
I will have to work a little bit more, but it's getting better. This knife, though, I'm going to thin out, and gives you the hira, or this flat part, nice polish. With this one here, I'm hoping to do it with the sandpaper. It gets a really nice finish. And this here, this one does not have the kiriha, which means there is no shinogi. There is a fake shinogi that they put. Sorry, what they do is that they put the little metal bar and hides it right here. Use the some sort of different stones to get this Kasumi finish. That's the signature right, for the Fujiyama. So Sean, I'm trying to get the finish back. So by probably mid next week, this knife will be done.
Right on. Did you see Annabelle's question there?
No, I no.
Is it possible that synthetic stones are more difficult to make a consistent Kasumi finish, or is it more about the sharpener or the hardness of the stone?
The synthetic stones, it really depends on that stones. Like I found my way to make a really Kasumi finish with the synthetic stones as well. So combination. I am pretty lucky that I work for this company that we have a lot of communal, I guess, like stones that people use, right? Where it is a little bit hard to do it for yourself, I guess, if you're just at home.
Yeah.
If you have any like particular knife that you want to have the particular finish, let us know, and we can advise you on which stones may actually may give you better Kasumi finish and such.
Yeah, we're quite privileged that we're not only able to, but encouraged to experiment a lot and just continually get better and try out new things. And Naoto especially, I mean, that's literally part of Naoto's job is to try out new stones and find better stuff for us to carry, not just to sell, but for us to use for customer knives as well.
So yeah, we're pretty lucky that, but it's I think important so that we can give the we can give it to There's a question about the
totally
special versus SG2.
Yeah, Lardy Barstow, hi from Australia. What do you think of Cobalt Special Steel compared to SG2? Thanks for the great show.
The Cobalt Special is not the powder steel, but they take very similar edge to the SG2. So there is like maybe SG2 is tiny bit better, tiny bit. I don't think it's like twice as better, like twice as good or 3 times as good. You can't really do the comparison. Both are made by the same manufacturer, steel manufacturer, Takefu Special Steel. Special has the I guess the biggest advantage over the on the Cobalt Special is that the corrosion resistance. If you look at what there consists of, the Cobalt Special has much more corrosion resistance, which means that they don't rust as easy, or they don't create the so-called rust pits as easy as the SG2. So that is pretty big advantage. Pure edge retention, SG2 probably wins, but these, it really depends on how they're sharpened. Out-of-box sharpness is pretty similar.
I got a follow-up question from Adam Yarbrough. How come Kurosaki seems to be the only person using Cobalt at higher hardness, like 63, 64?
It really, not quite sure. Like, there are many people using the Cobalt Special anyways. Like, I've seen Fujiwara had them a few times. Depends on how they decided to temper them, right? It definitely has the potential of getting a really hard, and probably he wanted to have them a little bit at the higher spot that is like comparable to the SG2 lines that he has, because the catalog from the Takefu Special Steel, the Cobalt Special says 61 plus or something like that. He can decide to do a little bit higher if he wants to.
Sean said he's got to run. So real quick, I just wanted to pop open a question from him that we had to skip over. Got an unrelated question for Nathan about shaving. I use a Feather Artist Series razor for now, but I'm thinking about picking up one of the Kamasoris. For those that don't know, Kamasori is a Japanese style razor for the sale at Kent, which is our sister store. For someone who's a beginner using a Kemosauri, would you recommend the Iwasaki, which is a traditional style single bevel, or the Amano San razor that's Western style double bevel? Both are great. The Amano I find easier to use, but I started with the Iwasaki and I had no problems with it. You can use both sides of the razor. The main difference is using different angles on either side of the blade. The Amano is definitely going to be a little easier to learn on, but the Iwasaki, if you want to go really old school and get something from like a really old school master, they're super, super cool. I think it mostly comes down to aesthetics and style preferences. And thanks for tuning in today, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For those of you that don't know, Ken of Inglewood is our sister brand. We've got shops in Calgary, Edmonton, Ottawa, and Vancouver, and you can shop online at kenofinglewood.com. We actually have a sale on right now. All of our colognes and perfumes are 15% off. So if you need something for Valentine's Day or want to get yourself something, it's a good time to grab one. But the sale Sean was referring to next month, March, historically we've done a straight razor sale. So all of our European and Japanese style straight razors are 15% off during the month. This year, it is a razor sale. So all of our razors, all safety razors, straight razors, everything are all 15% off. So if you take hair off of your face or your legs or any other part of your body, a single blade razor is an awesome way to do it, and might as well get a discount.
There's a question. I think the Annabelle? Annabelle?
This guy here.
Yeah.
You know how blacksmiths make a Nishiji finish?
I do. Different blacksmith uses slightly different techniques, but Nishiji finish is the most what we call it basic, especially the carbon steel ones. Nishiji is basically done in a way that, as you forge the carbon steel knives in the hammers, there are always a scale. It's the oxidized steel comes off from the surface of the blade. Nishiji is actually like that. It's basically they let those flakes go, like come off, and just leave it like that and sharpens. And sometimes they use the sandblast, or sometimes they use the wheel with the wheel with the rope to get all the black off. Sometimes they just bang it to get all the black scales off. But that's how you get the traditional Nishiji on it. Sometimes you see stainless Nishijis are slightly different because they don't flake off as much. So they kind of leaves it as the regular surface. As well, the Nishiji was basically considered to be a lazy man's job in blacksmithing, especially in the Sanjo area. It really comes off, and that's how it looks like, right? So the traditionally in that region, after the rough surface, they still put that on the hammer and press those Nishijis down into much smoother finish, which is kurochi. That's why if you look at the Moritaka kurochi, it's so much more smoother, right? I bet they could make a really nice Nishiji, but that's not their mindset. For them, Nishiji is like ugly kind of finish. So that's why they hammers those down into much more smoother. I think Nishijis are cool, but it's not really the thing in that region.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Michael McCullahan says, "Great work as always, guys. Thank you. Is Naoto sharpening the pronounced belly section of that blade at a higher angle and then going to thin it out once the ideal profile has been achieved?"
Yeah. I will sharpen. I'll basically make the profile, like try to make it an ideal profile first. Then I start to thin out. Is that what the question is? Probably.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So, like anything, when you have the chip on the blade, I grind all the chips first. Then I thin out and do that other stuff.
Cool. Right on.
It's 5:30, and I think it's
it's getting late. If anybody has a last minute question, get them in the comments now. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd highly appreciate it. We have live videos several times a week, and we have some great more recorded content coming out soon. Tomorrow we've got Japanese Knife 101 as well, the Saturday edition at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Chris and Kevin are going to be talking about how they learned to cook and sharing probably some pretty good kitchen stories about that. Yep. Last Saturday we had a fermenting class talking about making kimchi with myself and Chris, and we're going to be back on Tuesday at 2 Mountain Time. We're going to check in on my kimchi, see how it went. And I posted about it on the Instagram story today because it's been quite active the last couple of days. And we're going to check in on it, taste a little bit, and then we're going to start a new ferment, something else. We've got a poll going on Instagram. So if you want to suggest something that we could ferment, let us know. If you want to follow Naoto on Instagram and see all the crazy sharpening repair work he does, his Instagram is at Naoto, KW, NAOTO, KW.
Let's answer 2 last questions before we go. Oh, you talk about...
And real quick, Kevin and Chris, Kevin is the founder of Knifewear, Chris is the manager of the Ottawa store. They have been raising money for Operation Come Home in Ottawa, helping keep homeless youth from becoming homeless adults. So if you care to donate, they've already managed to raise over $8,000 this week with a $24 challenge. Any donations are hugely appreciated. We're trying to just raise as much money as we can. There's 2 days left to donate. So if you can afford to, awesome. If you can't, don't sweat it. But that would be hugely appreciated. And yeah, let's get a couple more questions in there.
Yeah. So, yeah.
How does the rare resistance of the ATS 34 compare with some other stainless steels? SRS 15, SG2?
The ATS 34, I want to actually see. That's a really great question. SG2, SRS 15 and SRS 13 and SG2 are pretty much the same. ATS 34, it's not powder steel, but it gets really hard. But wear resistance is not only being measured by the hardness, right? It is pretty tough steel for the hardness. So they are very similar, I would say. But this is something I have been thinking, because there is no like single measurement of the wear resistance in the knife steels. Hardness there is, right? Rockwell hardness C, we have those numbers, but wear resistance there isn't much. That's something I'm going to ask Masashi-san for this week. Hey, Masashi-san, if there's any wear resistance test, say have that heat treated sheet of steel on it, and like use the same abrasive on top, and how much stroke it takes to grind it down to like say millimeter, that kind of stuff. And I don't think there's a measurement. But the answer that those 2, they are very comparable, I think. Yes.
Cool. And Teifel Goron, good question. Is the Fujiwara/Shibata interview still happening?
Shibata-san, we are hoping to do that again.
That's probably an easier one.
Yeah. And Fujiwara-san, we have to see how his schedules are like and stuff. And I'd like to see him as well. Fujiwara, Shibata, so as other blacksmith, we're hoping to get that on the air.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see if we got. No, that's all the questions we got for today, folks. So
everyone for watching.
Thanks for tuning in today. Quick recap: we have Masashi Hanasuki's Kuroshu and Shiroshu Hanasuki's. We got some new Osakai knives. Again, tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. How I Learned to Cook. Catch me and Jeevan on Tuesday for some fermenting. If you have a suggestion for next week's advanced sharpening, Naoto's Nerd Hour, send Naoto a message on Instagram or DM us on Instagram, and we would love to hear it.
Awesome.
Naoto, you got anything else before we go? Any parting comments?
Thanks, good. All right, thanks for watching, and stay safe,
Thanks, everybody.
It seems like Calgary is like a dump of snow, so I have to.
Oh yeah, it's a mess out there, dude. Yeah, you better get out there and shovel.
Yeah. Alrighty.
All right, take care.